And we're going to finish reading the 11th chapter of Superman Last Son of Krypton by Elliot S. Magen. If you're a big comic nerd like me, you will no doubt have noticed that this is very much the pre-crisis Superman who began life as Superboy, which we heard all about. And most of the stuff that they referenced in this book was in the comics. I'm not so big of a nerd that I know the issue numbers right away. But yeah, Ma and Pa Kent did go on a trip and die of a mysterious flu in that continuity. And I think as we begin, we're cutting back to the news broadcast that Clark Kent was running. Jimmy Olsen's face on the monitor was fading into the 3 unseeable seconds of Superman in action that had been shot through the newsroom window. Clark narrated that, with most of his words heard over the frozen final frame, a remarkable shot of the Man of Steel rolling 3 unconscious criminals out of his cape to the ground like a sack of rotted pears. The very moment Luthor was pulling off a spectacular robbery, the only person who had been consistently capable of At the very moment Luthor was pulling off his spectacular robbery, the only person who has ever been consistently capable of thwarting the criminal's plans, Superman was here, right outside the Galaxy Building, here in Governor's Plaza in Metropolis, stopping what looked to be an attempted multiple bank robbery by 12 men piloting 12 glider-style air vehicles, equipped with devices capable of crumbling a vault with sound waves. The robbery attempt bore the unmistakable signature of Luthor himself, and although Superman managed to incapacitate all 12 pilots in 10 seconds flat, he was effectively distracted enough so that he could not possibly have gotten wind of the real caper taking place 60 miles away. Urbane Clark, unemotional Clark, bland Clark. He felt like an idiot. Jimmy Olsen's next, live from Princeton as Superman tries to pick up Luthor's scent. Also, a little girl noses her way across Long Island Sound. Candidates of the Hamilton Party sniff the political air, and Mayor Harkness smells a rat in the city budget after this message. Puerile writing. Maybe Clark should drop-kick the building into a lunar crater. It was kind of a secret thrill for Clark to watch Superman on the air, reenacting the day's triumphs. Having to sit through failures a second time, though, wasn't fun. There was another of those failures coming up. Coyle, the director, was in the control booth. You think we can get it right this time, Clark? We're back on the air in 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Less than half an hour after Luthor vanished from the scene, Superman showed up in Princeton. Jimmy Olsen filed this exclusive taped interview. It was a credit to Clark's acting ability that his face could be replaced on the screen by that of Superman looking intently at Jimmy's microphone. Superman, Jimmy said on tape, would you explain for our viewers exactly what it was we just saw you do here? Certainly, Jimmy. That rich voice, rippling power and grace filled a million living rooms. What I was trying to do was reveal a trail of ionized molecules that Luthor's jet boot mechanism should have left behind in the air. At this point, Superman and Jimmy's voices were broadcast over the scene Superman was describing, which apparently took place several minutes earlier. Superman was flying to the scene, arriving, motioning everyone in the area outside the Institute building to back away. As I arrived, and I was backing everyone off the lawn, the reporters and the university people, I was scanning your videotape recorder's imprints to see exactly what happened, where Luthor had been, and what he had done. Next, I flew off to the nearest large body of water, Carnegie Lake. On screen, Superman was flying off, and almost immediately, a long blue cone of swirling liquid appeared over the trees in the direction he'd flown. The cone was half a mile long and followed in the wake of the spinning red and blue streak. I flew in circles over the lake at super speed to draw up a waterspout, and I created artificial air currents around it like a sack so it would follow me through the sky to the Institute here. The spout was a few hundred feet in the air directly over the Institute lawn as Superman broke away from it and raced the water to the ground. The tape slowed so viewers could barely catch the sight of the Kryptonian crouching with his back to the cameras, blowing a massive gust of air from his mouth, creating an updraft as a 3-second deluge hit the immediate area. The momentary downpour I created, Superman narrated as the swamp clapped the green sword, was for the purpose of duplicating the conditions of a thunderstorm. You may have noticed that I blew upward into the rain as it fell. This is the sort of disturbance that causes electrical charges to clump up in, in clouds and make lightning bolts. You wanted to make artificial lightning where Luther was? Why? His jet boots had to have jangled up the air as he flew through, at least as much as the stratospheric winds. This whole area should be loaded with ionic particles of nitrogen. Darkness and gushes of wet heaves filled the screen, and through it could be seen flashes of sunlight, but no lightning, not even a speck. How would that tell you where Luther went? Well, Jimmy, my theory was that however Luther escaped, whether invisibly or at super speed, he must have left a trail of ionic particles pointing in his direction. My artificial cloudburst would cause flashes of lightning to point out Luther's escape route like a beacon. The fall of water on the tape ended, leaving Superman soaking wet, standing imposingly against the dew-drenched lawn in the sun. The picture flashed back to Jimmy and Superman speaking minutes later. Well, I didn't see any lightning, Superman, did you? No, actually. What are you going to do now? Find Luther in the Einstein papers. But Superman, no one's been able to turn him up since he escaped. He pulled off this incredible camouflage to keep you away so he could steal this big scientific secret. He figured out some way to get maximum publicity and still cover his tracks completely. You have absolutely nothing to go on. You don't even know what was in the notebook he stole. You're back to where you were when you were just waiting around for him to make his first move. What makes you so sure you'll be able to find him and bring him to justice now? Superman smiled that smile that took over the screen. Redford had a smile like that. So had Eisenhower had, but Clark Kent didn't. Force of habit, the smile said. And that's the end of Chapter 11.